This world-renowned fly pattern just got even better. To tie it, we'll start off with some red thread, insert some silver wire into our bead, helping to hold it in place, secure it tightly, wrapping it backwards, until we reach the bend of our hook. Here, we'll reverse our thread's direction, back up towards the head of the fly, and grab some hollow tinsel. Here I'm using medium in the color red. We'll secure this to our hook shank, once again wrapping backwards, towards the bend of our hook, at which point we'll reverse our thread's direction, laying an even thread base towards the head of our fly. And if you'd like to have some of these for your fly box, you can submit a custom order, linked here. If you have a rotary vise, you can put in a few extra wraps before grabbing your hollow tinsel, wrapping it forward in close touching spirals. Secure it in place, taking thread wraps both in front as well as behind before snipping your excess free. At which point we'll grab our wire and begin counter wrapping our hollow tinsel, this time in open spirals, doing so until we reach our thread. Secure tightly in place and helicopter your excess free. We'll then grab some peacock herl, strip off our tip, and secure it tightly in place at the head of our fly, before grabbing our feather and hackling it around the head of our fly in close touching spirals. Secure it in place, taking thread wraps both in front as well as behind to help pinch it in place before snipping your excess free. Whip finish to hold it all together, and this is a variation of a zebra midge that I like to use as an attractor pattern. And this one in particular makes a great dropper for brook trout, and I also often fish it in green, purple, as well as black. But of course, the variations are endless. So thank you for watching, subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.
This wire worm is so simple and effective, it might actually get banned. To tie it, we won't even start out with thread. We'll actually lay down a base of super glue, followed by some medium red wire. Start your wire well into the bend of the hook, and begin to wrap it forward in close touching spirals, trying to ensure that no gaps are left behind. Continue to do this until you reach the eye of your hook, at which point you can cut it free and super glue it in place or secure on some red thread. Use your thread to help secure the wire in place, securing both in front as well as behind your wire, and helicoptering the excess free. At which point we'll whip finish to hold the thread in place, after which we'll coat it in some UV resin to add some shine and durability to our pattern. Next, we'll use the back of our scissors to cut the excess wire free. You can also do this in the front as well, and grab some more thread in a hotspot color. Here I've selected to use pink, however you can use any color you choose, and continue building up a prominent hotspot just slightly forward of the middle of your fly. You can make this as large or as small as you'd like. Once happy, we'll whip finish, snip our thread free, and paint it over with some UV resin to add some shine and durability to our thread wraps. Fix in place with the UV light, and finish coating the red wire of your worm, again to add durability and shine to our pattern. And this is a wired bloodworm, and while it can be tied without thread wraps, in doing so, technically it wouldn't even be a fly. And while it doesn't have as much movement as other worm patterns, it is one of the most durable ones out there, and still can trick some fish. And if you'd like to win this one, comment #flies in the comments below. Subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.
This is one of the world's best trout flies, and today I'm going to show you how to tie it. We'll start off with a white thread, secure it to our hook shank, at which point we'll grab a pheasant tail, strip about 4 to 5 fibers free, and secure them tightly to our hook shank, wrapping backwards towards the start of our hook bend. Here, we'll reverse our thread's direction back up towards the hook eye, and grab some small wire. Here I'm using amber. We'll insert the wire into the bead to help hold it in place, secure it tightly with our thread, and once again, wrapping back towards our tail. We'll then grab the pheasant tail that we left attached, fold it backwards, and secure it in place. And once more, wrapping back up towards the hook eye, leaving a smooth base for our following step, at which point we'll grab the pheasant tail and begin wrapping it forward in close touching spirals, trying to avoid any gaps so you can't see the thread underneath. Secure it tightly in place, taking thread wraps both in front as well as behind and snipping the excess free. We'll then grab our wire and begin counter wrapping the pheasant tail, this time in open spirals, adding some shine and increasing the durability of our pattern. Secure it in place and helicopter your excess free. We'll then grab some dubbing of our choice. Here I'm using ice dubbing in the color pink. Create a tight dubbing noodle and begin wrapping it just in front of our pheasant tail, creating a prominent hot spot at the head of our fly. Whip finish. To hold it all together, snip your thread free. And this is one of my favorite variations of the Frenchie. Not only is it easy to tie, but it's also extremely productive. So I definitely suggest stocking up your fly box. And if you don't tie, you can always submit a custom order. I'd be happy to spin some up for you. And I will see you in the next one.
Today, I'm going to be sharing a secret that fly tyers don't want you to know. But to start, we'll grab some orange thread and snap the excess free. Continue wrapping your thread to the back of the hook and create a thread dam that'll be important for our next step. Once complete, grab some brown biots, strip off 2 and place them in a V formation. We'll measure them to be about the length of the hook shank and secure them to the back of the fly. The thread buildup will help display them out. Secure the biots tightly and begin wrapping towards the bead. Once complete, snip the excess free and grab some brassy wire. Here I'm using copper. Insert the wire into the bead, secure it tightly, and wrap back towards the tail. Next, we'll grab one of my favorite dubbing blends, you can find it in the links below, create a dubbing noodle, and begin wrapping it around our hook shank, building up a taper as we work towards the head of the fly. Take your time with this and tighten the dubbing noodle as needed. Now remember, start with a little bit because you can always add more. Next, we'll grab our wire and begin wrapping in open spirals towards the head of the fly. Secure tightly, taking thread wraps both in front as well as behind the wire and helicoptering the excess free. And then we'll brush out the body to give this fly a nice buggy look. Pull any excess fibers free and add a very loose dubbing noodle, wrapping this just around the head of the fly. Pull everything back and add a couple thread wraps in front. With this complete, brush it out once again to give it a nice buggy look. And this is a fly called Scruffy, and while it may not look pretty, I prefer fishing these buggy flies. So remember, if you're new to fly tying, don't get discouraged by seeing someone's pretty fly, because a fly like this is likely to catch more fish anyway. Subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one. We're going to be tying up one of the best variations of the band squirmy worm. We'll start with some hot pink thread. Snip the excess free, securing the bead in place using some lead-free wire. Helicopter the excess free and continue wrapping to the bend of the hook, at which point we'll take a few wraps forward and grab some stretchy material. Here I'm using a rubber D-rib, however, I would suggest using a stretchy dental band that I've linked in the comments. Create a loop with your material and secure it to the back of the fly. Make sure your loop's secured tightly by taking securing wraps both in front as well as behind your loop and continue towards the head of the fly. Snip one of your excess bands free, once again continuing towards the head of the fly. We'll fold our rubber material backwards, take a few securing wraps towards the head of the fly, and once again create a loop in our rubber band, using your thread to secure it lightly in place at first. This way, by pulling on the opposite end, we can shrink the loop to the size we're looking for. Once happy, secure in place with your thread, and continue wrapping towards the bend of the hook. Snip your excess free, and use your thread to smooth out the body. Finishing at the head of the fly. Hold everything in place by whip finishing, snip your thread free, and paint over everything with some UV resin to add shine and durability to our pattern. Fix in place with the UV light, and grab some spare wire. Use the wire to string it through the 2 loops that we just created, and open up the loops at the end using a pair of tweezers. Next, we'll grab some squirmy worm material, here I'm using pink, insert it through our loop, and begin pulling the wire to help draw the squirmy worm material through the 2 loops. They should be quite tight to hold it in place. Once complete, remove the wire, snip the squirmy worm material to length, and this is an improved squirmy worm, suggested by Tim from the Trout and Feather. I've linked his full video in the comments below. It's an excellent pattern that promotes a lot of movement in the water and also can be replaced if the fish chew it up. I would highly suggest giving it a try. And as always, if you'd like to win this one, comment #flies in the comments below. Subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.